Okay, middle class Dan here. Being that our boy Trump has moved on the First Amendment, Bill of Rights, like a bitch, hey, it's time to make a video. So here we go. Now, at any rate, well, tell you what, please get involved in our democracy. And welcome to the initial Kimmel for President movement. Here we go. Maybe I'll wake up some of these bozos. Oh, yeah, as you could see, I was a big Perot fan. All right, now, at any rate, see, we need Kimmel because Trump is a failure. He has totally failed at the grocery store. And let's talk about your grocery bill. None of this stuff with the eggs. Because where's he getting the eggs from? He's getting the eggs now from his buddies in Russia. And furthermore, I'll tell you what, that whole Gulf of America thing, wow, that's something. I went to the grocery store. I tried to buy groceries with my Gulf of America dollars, and they looked at me like I was nuts. So anyway, I got to tell you, I'm starting to think that Donnie $2, he says your kids don't need all these extra dolls. I think he might be a little sweet on Glad. And let's continue on. All right, now, we pretty much know the corporate cowards have canceled Jimmy Kimmel. Corporations do not have a history of defending human rights or the Bill of Rights with any kind of integrity. So who are these clowns that nuked Kimmel? What are their names? What members of Congress have they invested in? Or, have they donated to? Who's in their back pocket? Now, can Trump help or hurt them financially? I mean, these bozos who decided that we don't get to listen to Jimmy Kimmel anymore. All right, so there are financial ties in there. They're rich, he said, right, they can't do nothing to me. I'm rich. I do whatever I want. Now, I'll tell you what. Let's say some of these guys that got rid of Kimmel. Well, let's say they start losing money because Kimmel's gone. Are they going to get kicked out of their country clubs? And by the way, who owns the corporate news media anyway? Now, let's see if we can figure this out. Could it be the rich billionaires, the 1%, the oligarchs, the multimillionaires who want their tax cuts? Or could it be legal migrant farm workers? You think maybe they're the problem with the country? All right, or you're losing your First Amendment right? All right, now maybe you don't know. Let me ask you, what happened on May 30th, 2024? Now, if you don't know, please think about, ask yourself, why is it I don't know? Well, let's continue on. Well, I'm going to break the news to you. On May 30th, 2024, Donald J. Trump got convicted of 34 felony counts of falsifying business records, of lying. Now, I'll tell you what, the question is, now that he's a convicted felon, was that really a dog whistle to every country club Republican and price gouging corporation, every banker that wants to fleece you out of your money and screw consumers? Well, I got to tell you, he's a convicted felon. Why in the world did Republicans ever support a convicted felon for president? Could it mean that they would be free to do as they wish? Well, when it comes to price gouging, I think they're sticking their paws in your pocket. My pocket, I don't like it. Now, at any rate, now, another thing is that where Trump is a failure, he's got this America First policy. I got some news for you. There was a guy with a little mustache, Germany. He had a Germany First policy. He did a heck of a lot of complaining. Well, I'll tell you what. How come Trump gives Vlad Putin, his buddy, they got a bromance going on, in my opinion. How come he's so palsy-walsy to Putin? He even had American soldiers kneeling down to lay out a red carpet for Putin. Sickening. But why is he doing it? I'll tell you why. Well, I can figure out he wants to prop up Putin at home, because what has happened with authoritarianism in Russia, it has failed. It fails. Ultimately, it fails all over the place for the people, for the citizens of a nation. What a freaking jerk. And if you would, please watch. And I'm going to say thank you to American Tactical Fighter for this here video. Continuing on. Now, yeah, he is a failure, but I'll tell you what, that little paper hanger or whatever the freak he was, painter or something like that. But I'll tell you what, that guy was real evil. He knew that if he wanted to get in power, he had to stir up a lot of discontent. So he ran around getting the German people real angry about this situation. And I'll tell you what, angry people don't make wise decisions. So Trump says that he's vowing to do something about what's going on in Poland with the Russian drones flying and all the rest of this. But I'll tell you what, he ain't going to be doing much. He's made a lot of vows to the American people. He's always going to do this, he's going to do that. What's he done? What happened to his wall anyway? You know, baloney. What happened to his controlling grocery prices, you know, etc.? Not doing much. What a freaking loser. And when he says, here we go again, what's that mean? Flip-flop, flip-flop. He's all over the place on issues. Boom, 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 boom. You know, it's like, we'll see where we are in 2 weeks. He'll be doing something else, you know. Or the only thing he's going to be doing is betraying those who need him, or that he's supposed to be protecting, because that's an ongoing pattern with him. Notice, MAGA people, he's really bailed out. He never got to the bottom of this Epstein thing. No, he's covering that up. The only pattern I see coming from him is he betrays allies, and he's kissing Vladimir Putin's butt. Continuing on. All right, now. Again, the corporate, let's remember, let's think about who really owns the corporate media that has brought America into this freaking swamp. You know, they're our cultural leaders, is the big shots of rich. Don't be telling me that anchor babies of illegal sub-minimum wage workers are doing all this to the country. No, no, no. These are the clients. Go to Congress. I tell you, happy people have health care for a reasonable number of hours. They get a living wage. And what have we been getting for a long time? We get screwed. So let's find out what members of Congress have invested in the corporations like the for-profit health industry, etc. Now, we know, so at any rate, these guys that shut down Kimmel, again, have they been threatened by the Trump administration? Well, I think they have. It's like Tawny Two Dolls. We could do it the hard way or the easy way, all the rest of this stuff. And if they start losing money, these corporate executives, does it mean they're going to have to forego a new set of golf clubs? Well, it could happen. They may have to live with that. Now, what happened on January 10th, 2025? Well, again, if you don't know, maybe a news source ain't telling you the whole story. Maybe they specialize in half-truths, half the story. Well, I'll tell you what happened on January 10th, 2025. Donnie Two Dolls had his sentencing hearing before he got sworn in. And basically, he got unconditional discharge because Judge Merchant understood, I believe, that there was no sense carrying on. So, well, he is a convicted liar. And, let's face it, some losers get community service. Too bad we got stuck with this bozo. So, again, he continues to be a failure. He's a flip-flopping taco, and we all know it. And furthermore, all of his flip-flopping on these tariffs, like it's a strategy. There's no strategy there. People are just putting a line through his baloney. Other nations are not putting up with this crap. They're going to do business with somebody else. And it's you and I are going to get stuck with a lousy economy that, that Trump is screwing up. And I'll tell you what, besides all his flip-flopping and his palsy-walsy with Putin and Kim Jong-un and those bozos, I'll tell you what, he's been plenty friendly over the years with perverts, pedos, Ghislaine Maxwell, and remember her father was quite a crook, and he was a news guy, big news guy, and he was a crook. And Epstein, of course, pervs, pedos, what a disgrace. Well, that's why I say Kimmel for president because he cares, and we got to let the world know that we care about human rights and decency, freedom of speech. Now, do you remember this one? And here's an example. When I saw this in the news, Melania Trump visiting migrant child detention centers, knowing that there were poor kids who were being separated from their families, and the damage, the trauma that can do to a child. I'll tell you what, my belief system tells me that the betrayal of trust, the lack of trust, the lack of love, these things can do permanent damage to children, to a child, kids brought up in homes where they're not wanted, kids brought up with rigid punishing guards or parents with alcohol, drug abuse problems, that these characters enter the world and tell you what, they cost the taxpayer a heck of a lot of money, let alone all the real damage they do. But they do damage. And for this kind of nonsense to appear in our country, that just way out of line. And I'll tell you what, to me, that's really not a mixed message. It tells me there's something really, really wrong here. I'm trying to make like a Bill Murray in some movie, you know. But at any rate, let's continue on. And, I wonder really about myself if I should or I shouldn't. But I'll tell you what, there's a girl, Katie Johnson, who made some interesting accusations in 2016, California, and you may want to just become, aware of what has gone on with that particular case, how it's true that she withdrew it. Now, this case is a resurfacing from the past, but again, you know, I do not see hate as quality. I don't see mean-spiritedness or any of that as the quality that I want in a leader. And by the way, this has come back up. Things that went on 1992, 1994. You may want to find out about it. And we know that Trump bluntly had a long time friendship with Jeffrey Epstein. Jeffrey Epstein was a sicko, and Donald Trump also had a long time relationship with Roy Cohn, another sicko, another mean-spirited lying person, attack. Roy Cohn ended up, as a matter of record, getting disbarred. So let's consider our responsibility to be well advised. And again, as a registered Republican, I'm really supposed to care about the character of the person leading this country. And we go on, and maybe as a sick joke, because I think sometimes we just need to get a laugh out of some of this nonsense that comes along with democracy. But I've heard Trump's immunity team, and I believe even arguing in front of the Supreme Court, they had the nerve to talk about whether or not a president could use SEAL Team 6 to get rid of a political rival. I mean, they just bring it to a state of nonsense. So, I have to ask if Ginny Thomas, and by the way, her idea of the American dream, for so many of us, American dream is just to live in peace and live in our own home, where we could have some peace and quiet where we want it. It seems to me that her idea of the American dream is for a husband to be able to get a new RV or all kinds of gifts, whatever he likes, from multi-millionaires and billionaires and characters that have business in front of the Supreme Court, and there's no need for him to recuse himself. So that, I have to admit, it's really set me off on that. So I asked, would Ginny and her husband and whatever nonsense they got going on there, would that, according to them, would it be all right to get rid of Jeffrey Epstein? I mean, is that what they did? How about Katie Johnson? Now, according to her, she withdrew the suit because, well, at least according to lawyers involved with that case, she was being subjected to terrible threats, and let alone the damage that could happen to 12, 13-year-olds. Wow. They could never be right. It's quite understandable. So we, the American people, we've got a right to know and need to know. We want to know what pervs and pedos, all of them, any of them that may be in the Epstein files, regardless of how rich and powerful they may be, whether they're in corporate-owned and controlled media, or news, plenty of sickos there, so-called religious leaders, or sports heroes, or big shots in the financial industry. From what I hear, some of the girls who work around Wall Street, I've got plenty of stories of our Wall Street boys. And how about if they're in the entertainment industry? Or they might be in government, the legal community, or maybe even the Supreme Court for all we know, and Congress. Or how about that for-profit medical paperwork generating and billing industry? Those SOBs have been getting plenty rich off of us for years. I know for a fact that between 1970, maybe somebody could dispute it. Well, at any rate, you can run some numbers and find out that the ripoff is in the trillions. We've paid trillions more than our Canadian counterparts for health care. So they got plenty of money to throw around for their naughty little games. The Trump donors and investors, law enforcement, these mass ICE guys, oh my God, they ought to get some freaking jobs. Well, who knows? I think the concentration camps, plenty of these detention centers are for-profit businesses. That's right. They're cleaning up on it. Regardless, right, wrong, or indifferent, per capita, per day, whoever they grab, they detain them, they bill the taxpayer. Now, I'll tell you what, we as the American people, we have a right to know, and our right to know should take precedence in matters that involve personal, government, or corporate depravity. We got a right to know if our leaders are in a sick position where they could be compromised. And we got to say thank you to House Committee, to your state Epstein. Maxwell compiled the birthday book. Who knows what kind of damage bad actors like Kim Jong-un or Vladimir Putin could do to our nation if they got embarrassing dirt on any of our top, rich, powerful egomaniacs. So that's why I tell you what, we need Jimmy Kimmel for president, because he's a human being and he cares. Furthermore, according to the standards that these country club Republicans and corporations have in the MAGA standards, I think he's quite qualified. He is a TV star. He's been on TV longer than Trump's failed apprentice show. And what kind of a sicko? It's like you'd be qualifying for paganism to enjoy watching somebody get fired. That's real sad. See, Trump was learning how far we were sinking as human beings, as Christians, as decent people. If you think watching somebody get fired is fun, well, maybe you ought to take a look at yourself. Now, another thing, though, about, Trump is a complete clown. That's why and Kimmel's a comedian. So he's a TV star, he's a comedian. And while he's not a convicted felon, like Trump, maybe he's got a parking violation or something like that could qualify him as a politician. Because I always hear these MAGA fans say, oh, they all do it, they're all crooks. Well, I don't know how in the world, in their heads, these people, very negative. There's a lot of people trying to do the best they can. But first of all, the biggest reason I'd like to see Kimmel for president is because he's not a whining, litigious, crybaby brat. Trump is boring. I mean, he flip-flops all over the place. Look, we should all go out and get our Trump crybaby balloons before they run out or before they're made, an offense, they can put you up against a fire, the wall, give you the firing squad treatment. All right, so now, Kimmel promises as president that if he's invited to your home, he won't move on your wife like she is a bitch, doing that cuckold thing he seems to be fond of. Or somebody's fond of, the Epstein crowd, all the rest of that. He won't eat your cats and dogs. Your pets are safe. He won't wank on your Davenport. And he won't drool over your children, whether they be male, female, or, other. So, those are all, things that, some people may be worried about. Now, also, do we know the Donnie $2 agenda? Now, he's already told you, times are going to be rough. Just like somebody said, the guy with the little mustache, he says, well, you got guns before butter. He's going to get a revenge for the people because we've been screwed and all the rest of this. So I tell you, while he's telling us that, we're seeing, again, he's a convicted felon. Corporate America funded him. Corporate country club Republicans, they voted for his kind. They load up Congress. So apparently they think this kind of lying is okay. I think it's just a dog whistle, electing a convicted felon, that it's okay to screw consumers. So while we're out there supposedly chasing this American dream, our Bill of Rights is being trampled on, and quite frankly, if you don't have the freedom to think and study and express yourself as you see fit, if you have to live in fear, that is the cultural regimentation that Nazi Germany Hitler forced upon the German people. And, one of their greatest contributions was the book burning. That was the kind of crap, again, everybody marching right in line. And I'll tell you what, people trying to spout a line of that is forced upon them. Being denied a right to think and express yourself and to study and to assemble with people is a freedom that makes life more enjoyable. And forcing people into their cultural regimentation is very dangerous stuff. Please get a pocket copy there of the Constitution. Take a look at our preamble. We have government to promote the general welfare. And if we're going to be stifled in our speech and our thoughts, our education, etc., well, we ain't going to be happy. So if we want to secure the blessings of liberty for ourselves and posterity, we need to be a happy people who are free to express themselves. And if you wonder what's going on, I tell you what, you may want to, the corporate media, corporate news media, has done nothing to really improve the well-being of the American people. At least that's my opinion on it, because there's so much discontentment and anger. Donnie $2 runs around crybabying about everything. Crybaby, crybaby, crybaby. Well, I'll tell you what, if you read The Rise and Fall of the Third Reich, you'll see that there was another crybaby in history too. And you may find out just what it did for the people who followed him, that idiot. Now, Donnie $2 tells us to get ready for rough economic times. Well, maybe if we turn off the boob tube and just get a book that you enjoy, read it. It's peaceful, it's you, yourself, the author of the book. They say a book has 1,000 authors. You may relax, learn something, and find out how you really feel about things, rather than having Madison Ave shove a lot of crap down your throat about what you're supposed to think. So let's get away from this cultural regimentation that Donnie Two Dolls wants to force on us. And let's fight for our freedom of speech. Thank you.